I love the smell of Tula ammo in the morning.
Hello, 45 Hour Charlie Papa channel, and today we're going to take a look at the Taurus TCP. It's a compact pistol by Taurus, one of the first ones that they made entirely here in the USA. It is a USA-made pistol for the US market. It has generally gotten some pretty decent reviews from some of the larger channels. There are some smaller channels that have shown some issues with this pistol. And those issues are pretty minor for the most part that they're talking about. They are some feeding issues, but they've typically have corrected them, taking a pliers to the feed ramp or feed lips here on the magazine, either moving them in or out just to get it to the angle of the bullet to come just right. I've had seen a couple others. They've gone ahead and done that, and then they've gone in here and smooth out any of the sharp edges on your feed ramp with the pistol. And that generally takes care of the feeding issues that people have had with them. But I'm not talking about feeding issues here. This one seems to feed and function well. Unfortunately, I've got another issue with this gun, and we'll go over that here in a little bit. You know, like I said, the big guys have given this a pretty decent review. Guys, I'm sorry, I don't see it. I find there is a flaw with this pistol that I just cannot get around. It's just a manufacturing issue, and you know, Taurus hasn't fixed the issue, although they do know about it. Regarding that, I'm not trying to bash Taurus. I mean, this is not my gun. It is Q-Man's gun, and this is his Millennium G2, and I like this gun. This is a great gun. It hits all the buttons. It feels good in the hand, shoots well. I have no problem with that, and that's a Taurus. I've got a Taurus 85 that I've had for a while now, and it's a good firing little gun. This one, on the other hand, is a different story, and like I said, I will get to that. But let's go over kind of the pistol. Let's kind of walk around it a little bit. Take a look at what the features and benefits are to the pistol, because I know there's a lot of my viewers that either, one, they have purchased this pistol and they're just trying to get validation that they made a good purchase, what other people think of it, what things to kind of look out for. And right now they're going for like $150 new. I've seen some really cheap because it's a discontinued model and they've come up with their new Spectrum. Or people that are looking into these because they do see them that they're $150 at the gun store, and what do other people think about the pistol. And then you got others that maybe they've had some issues and want to see if you're having the same issues. But I'm not trying to hate on Taurus. I'm really not. Like I said, this is not my pistol. This is Q-Man's pistol. Same with that Millennium G2. And I've reviewed, check the channel, I've reviewed Taurus's before, and I've given them pretty good reviews. This one is going to be the exception. To walk around the pistol, it's nice. I mean, it's very angular. Got a very nice profile to it. I think it's a good looking pistol. I really do. I do like the lines. I do like the angular shape of it. It is a nice pistol. This one happens to be two-tone instead of black on black. They do make these with other color frames too. Polymer frame, double action only. You see, we are empty, but it's got a nice long trigger pull, but it's not a very heavy trigger pull. So I don't have an issue with that particular trigger pull. It is hammer fired. I don't know if you can kind of see in there as I draw it back. There we go. You can see the hammer kind of come back and fall. So it's a hammer fired pistol. I don't have any issues with a hammer fired pistol, and being a small concealable like this, the long double action I think is what's really needed on this. I don't have any issues with that. When the adrenaline's pumping, you're not going to notice that long trigger pull. You're just going to be pulling the trigger. But that's another issue I'm going to have with the gun here in a little bit. It's in 380. It does have the loaded chamber indicator that's pretty unobtrusive. It does pop out a little bit, so I don't have any issue with that. It does have the Taurus key safety system on here, so instead of coming with a lock, It's got this little screw in here, and it comes with a set of keys, and you can lock the pistol up for storage if you're so inclined to do that. I know a lot of people don't like that lock on there, but like I said, instead of providing a some kind of padlock to put on it to lock it up, you can actually just lock it up with that key, and it'll be just as safe. It'll disable the gun. It is a little 6-round magazine capacity of 380. So, and the magazines are fairly decent. I don't have any complaints with the magazine. They've got kind of a different little heel here if you're trying to carry an extra one. That might be a factor on how you like it. But overall, yeah, a nice little pistol. It shoots pretty decent. We've had it out to the range. Your sights, they're small in comparison to some of the others, but they're there. You do have them, but this is more of a close quarters, get off me gun. So sights, you've got them there, but chances of probably using them are going to be pretty slim for the first maybe 1 or 2 shots. Small, when my pinky hangs off of it, it is a little bit harder to control. I find this one a little harder to control than the Ruger LCP. It does have a last round hold open, which is really nice for a pistol of this size to have a last round hold open. And they were one of the first pistols in this size to do that. In fact, it made Ruger, when they came up with the LCP2, put a slide lock hold open on theirs, and a couple other manufacturers have also followed suit with these little pocket rocket pistols. Again, trigger is long but doable. I don't have any problems with that long trigger pull. Takedown is not too bad. It is a little bit of a pain. You go ahead and pull it back, drop your magazine. You'll need some kind of like a screwdriver. I'm using just a used spent shell. Pull this pin out. There we go. And then it just slides right off the frame. Pretty standard fare in there. You've got your spring and your guide rod, which just flew across the room because I wasn't capturing it very well. And you just kind of finagle the barrel out of it, and your barrel's out, and that's all you need to do for cleaning. Pretty simple. It is a metal guide rod, so that's good. And you got a dual spring setup here. Two different size springs. One goes inside the other. They're not captured, as you can see by the guide rods flying out on me. And then to put it together, pretty easy. You drop your barrel in, spring your guide rod, get it back on there, and then it just slides. Now, one thing, if you notice, in that hole there's a little spring detent. That's where that retaining pin goes in. You've got to kind of defeat that when putting it back together. And what I found is if you take it, pull it back a little bit to where one of these notches in the frame are, makes it a little easier to get up and over that spring, and then push it in. And then you can see it's still kind of sticking out a little bit. And if I cycle it, and while pushing it, it goes right into place. So disassembly, a little bit cumbersome, but not too bad. But overall, a nice looking pistol. This one seems to run fine. I haven't had to do any of the fine tuning of the magazines or any fine tuning of the barrel to get the standard ball ammunition to run through it. Now let's take it to the range, and I will show you what my issue is, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Boy, it doesn't like having a full mag in a slide. So let's go ahead and TCP. These were just going to fire, making sure we pull select the trigger all the way forward first. We got a little loaded chamber indicator here. This is just Tula. Hang up. That went a slide locked. Yeah, shooting a little low. We got some brass case stuff here, a little better ammo. Let's see what this is. Did get one bullseye with the Tula. What's this left better? Again, jam. Slide lock.
Yeah, see, you hit both. So the red dot, that's where you're putting the red dot on, right? Was the center of that bullseye? So
Yeah, it had the slide lock open twice on that one. I'm not sure what to think about that. Maybe I'm hitting it with my thumb or something, but it seemed to be about the same around both times. I'll have to look at the film and check. But now let's go ahead and let's only go to the first click instead of the second click and see what we have here, because this is where I think the main issue is going to be with this gun for me. Go ahead and get this loaded up. Got a magazine here. I'm just going to go to the first reset on all of these and see if maybe we don't get a hammer strike and no fire. Yeah, no issues with that. Let's go ahead and throw 6 rounds of Tula. Now, I have had it do it once on me. There was a light primer strike, and the other gun was down. But you know, if anything's probably going to do that, it's probably going to be this Tula. Primer should be a little harder on this. We'll see. All right, 6 rounds.
I knew why I was moving because freaking I didn't type it. I pulled it up and typed it. I was wondering why the
Ah, there you go. Gun is now dead. Every time with the Tula, the Tula must have a nice hard primer. Got one here. We did get primer strike, no fire. That's not that first. That's my issue with this gun, and something that can be fixed. Something guy out there on YouTube who has fixed it, but Taurus doesn't seem to be interested in fixing the TCP. They've got the new Spectrum now, and that seems to be the way they're going. From what I understand, the Spectrum does have double strike capability, so they fixed the trigger in the Spectrum as pertaining to this. But yeah, I'm going over all these drop safe tests and stuff with the yeah, nobody's screaming about the first reset. Yeah, every time with the Tula, you must have a little harder primer than your standard. So if you're going to carry this, make sure you're carrying high quality ammo. Make sure that you know that it doesn't have, it's got softer primers on it, not the hard primer. Because if you do get in a situation, stress situation, and you short stroke it, you could have that issue with the gun going dead on you. completely cycle the gun to get everything cleared and free. Let's try one more time with this brass case Nagora. 6 rounds. Ah, yep, see? That one. So it seems to be feeding better. I had a couple hiccups there feeding at first, but again, light primer strike if you can only hit that first reset and you short stroke this thing. So that's the way it is. Let's go back to the bench and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Okay, now you know my issue with it. I don't know why Taurus would come up with a pistol that's got 2 clicks. Let's go ahead and just drop the magazine. It does not have a magazine safety in it, so for demonstration purpose, we'll get rid of the magazine. So you got your long double action pull, and it's going to go off on the first round. I don't have a problem with that. You're carrying one in the chamber, you let go of the trigger, everything's fine. It's reset. This is where I have my problem. You have a click there. That's your first click. That does nothing to move that hammer in there except for to drop it. So now you've got a gun that if for some reason in a bad situation you fire it and you short stroke it, that you could have a potential of a failure to fire. And then you're messing with the slide, trying to get everything back up to code. Now you can press check it. It doesn't take a whole lot to reset that hammer. So you can press check it if you have those fine motor skills during a gunfight. Or, you can just completely rack the slide, eject it, and go to now you're down 1 round. But, I have an issue with that, and it's a known problem that Taurus knows about. Now, I have seen in comments people telling people, well, you should read your instruction manual because your instruction manual says there are 2 distinct clicks and it has to go all the way forward. I've read through this instruction manual. Now, this instruction manual is from, you see there, 2015. That's the one that came with the gun. And it says nothing about the 2 clicks. Now, maybe the newer instruction manuals do, but that's not a fix, Taurus. Telling people to make sure that you let that trigger go all the way forward for 2 clicks, that doesn't fix the issue with that hammer dropping at half cock. I'm sorry, that it's just not acceptable. I've got an LC9. It's got the same type of trigger in it. Let's go ahead and cock it. I got 1 click. It won't fire. I've got to let it all the way out before that hammer will go. Now this is the original LCP, so you can see it's got the hammer in there. There's that click. It won't fire. All the way forward. Now it sets it up so that it'll pull the hammer all the way back and fire it. It's not a big issue to fix it. It wouldn't cost a whole lot. The freight back and forth to the factory is going to cost more than the part to fix it. There is a guy out there who has fixed this issue with his, and it requires some brazing of material on a part that you cannot get from Taurus. Taurus does not offer that part as a replacement part. So that's where my problem is with this pistol. That's why if you're going to carry it, be very, very aware that you're going to have to make sure that you're letting that trigger go all the way out. And maybe it's not a problem while you're shooting. Maybe with the recoil of this and your fingers, you're working your finger, and that may not be an issue, but it can be. Now, I was getting it to do it almost every time with tool ammo. And we all know tool ammo has hard primers. It's not the best ammo. It's just kind of practice ammo, but it was something that I can show, hey, if you've got some rounds with some hard primers, you could have some issues if you're carrying this. There's a lot of people out there that carry these with ball ammunition. And the reason being, there's a debate out there on the 380 whether you should use defensive ammo or ball ammo with it. I would say in the summertime, defensive ammo is probably fine. You're going to still penetrate through maybe a t-shirt and be able to stop your assailant. In the wintertime, if you're carrying this in winter carry, ball ammo is probably going to be better for you because it's got more penetration. If you're trying to get through a jacket and a shirt and maybe a heavy sweater or something, that defensive ammo may not make it through there and may not make as big of a wound or an impact to stop your assailant. That's kind of one of the drawbacks to the 380. But this is 45 Alpha Charlie Papa channel. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Please like or dislike this video. Have an opinion. Let me know what you think about my issue with this gun. I know people have them, and I know people that really like these. But for me, it's an issue for me as to wanting to find something else to carry. If it's the only gun I can afford, if it's the only one I can come up with, hey, that's fine. I know it's going to fire on the first round. And I just need to, you need to go out and you need to practice with it and make sure that you are letting that trigger forward all the time and get that muscle memory so you can work this properly. But this is 45 Alpha Charlie Papa channel, and I am out.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.